All right, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. So much has gone on this week. It's absolutely insane, but I wanted to make sure that I touched base with you. One of the areas in which I want to talk about is how the left, in my opinion, are going to cooperate with Trump in order to co-opt the Trump agenda. And there's reason to do it. I mean, it was refreshing this week to see President Donald Trump give a press conference. We're not used to, or we haven't been used to in the last 4 years, watching someone with a pulse, president with a pulse, give a press conference. So I just want to take you to a few of the moments, and then I'm going to get into this new voter class that I believe the left is that the left is trying to create. And I want to talk to you about how I believe the Democrat Party are going to cooperate with Trump in order to try to co-opt Trump so that they can win in 2026 and the midterms in 2026 and take back the White House in 2028. I don't think it's necessarily going to happen, but it's worth talking about. First, let's go to some clips. This is President Trump. Let's go to clip number 20. Por favor, Gabe. This is President Trump. What is he talking about? Yeah. He is talking about, I'm sorry, I got so many of these. He wants to change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Let's roll it, please, Gabe.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
Okay, so now this is very important. Here's what Trump is doing. Essentially, what he's doing is he's returning to the Monroe Doctrine, right? So he's basically America exceptionalism, American force, American national security, everything closely related to America that can impact America. He isn't an isolationist. That's just he's keeping American and anything that affects America's security. Keeping everything safe around us, if you will, building this kind of buffer zone, if you will, and dealing with areas or issues that specifically relate to foreign policy when it comes to the United States of America, but not getting involved in any entangling alliances like our founding fathers spoke about. So I think this is very important. I think this is brilliant on Trump's part. I love it when Trump is gaslighting and trolling Canadians, saying we're going to make Trudeau or Canada the 51st state. I don't believe he wants to make Canada the 51st state of the United States. I think some conservatives are taking that literally. I don't believe he wants that, but I think he wants to do exactly what he's done, and that's to crush the Liberal Party in Canada that Justin Trudeau was a part of, and we've seen that it's fallen apart because they were exacting tariffs on us that were unfair. And not only that, these people were woke. These people were friendly towards the CCP. And we can't have that with someone that's in our own hemisphere. So it is incumbent upon us to use the Monroe Doctrine and make sure that anything close around us is secure and safe for the American citizens. The same is true with border policy and deportation, dealing with illegals. So this is what Trump is essentially trying to do. And he's sitting out there, he's playing psychological warfare with Mexico, talking about tariffs. Absolutely brilliant. The left knows that this is brilliant. The left knows that this is working. They know that Joe Biden's foreign policy is a disaster. They know that Joe Biden's domestic policies have been a disaster, despite the fact that Joe Biden came out this week and said that he believed that he could have beaten President Trump because his internal polling said that he could, or something to that effect, when his internal polling said the exact opposite. But I do suspect that maybe some people on his staff, Biden's staff, I believe they're running the White House essentially, are still telling them that so they can do things like, I don't know, release 11 Guantanamo Bay terrorists. And do crazy stuff, the crazy stuff that we've seen them doing, cutting off or banning drilling, banning offshore drilling in 625 million acres of federal waters before Trump takes over. So I suspect that's why his staff is probably gaslighting him so that he could believe that he's still somehow popular and they're not telling him the truth. here's what Doug Schoen wrote about. Now, Doug Schoen, you guys may know him, Douglas Schoen. He is I believe he's a Fox News contributor, if I'm not mistaken. He used to work for the Clintons, and I think he's a stand-up guy. He's a Democrat, he's a liberal, but he's not a leftist. And I think for the most part, he is a straight shooter. But he was friends with the Clintons. Clintons don't know if they still have that relationship. But he wrote a great piece earlier in the Hill. The bad news is that this strategy could hurt the GOP potentially in 2026. The good news is the left, I won't do it because I think they went too bat crazy in order to implement it. But here's what he talked about. There were several topics. He said that the Democrats should cooperate on Trump when it comes to the economy, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to crime, when it comes to government waste and social issues. Although he did carve out a caveat for trans. He was like, we can't do as Democrats. We need to stand up for girls having their own sports and make sure that boys can't play in girls' sports. Even, boys pretending to be girls can't play in girls' sports. But at the same token, we should protect trans and their rights. And all. I don't even know what that means, but that's what Douglas Schoen said. And I'm paraphrasing to be fair to him. But this is I believe, a strategy on the left's part or the Democrats' part. I don't believe he's a leftist, because this is what they did with Bill Clinton. Remember, they triangulated. Bill Clinton was a liberal, and then he moved to the right. He moved to the right in order to keep the White House, in order to win Congress, and I mean, he ended up losing. I mean, obviously in 94, we had the Gingrich Revolution, and that was good. But he secured the White House. He remained in the White House, and then with both he and Gingrich banding together, they were able to tackle federal debt and give us a balanced budget. I mean, absolutely amazing. So this is what Doug Schoen is talking about. He was like, listen, cooperate with Trump's policies, and then you can basically run on Trump's policies. And then you have the left-wing radicals like the petty judge Juan Merchan, that is literally going to be sentencing Trump within by the 10th of this week if the Supreme Court does not intervene. You still have those radicals that are playing this lawfare against Trump. And so it's absolutely crazy. So the left can continue to ding Trump while the left is working with Trump and his policies. If things get better, Democrats can take credit for it, and that's what they'll do. So on the economy, he says there are middle ground approaches to keeping taxes low, stimulating growth, and ensuring American workers can provide their families without being crushed by soaring cost of living. He says this entails cooperating with Republicans on education and job training. These are some of the issues, all right, that they say we should cooperate on. He also said Democrats need to work with Republicans to rein in government spending, just like occurred in the Clinton era. He says, during my time in the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton prioritized cutting spending and balancing the federal budget. He did this and to reclaim the mantle of fiscal responsibility from Republicans. That's what he's saying Democrats should do on the issue of immigration. He says, aside from the economy, immigration and the chaos at our southern border had the largest negative impact on Democrats. And he lists some stats. Now, left wing, he says, must stop dictating immigration policy to common sense Democrats. All right. And he talks about how the base is increasingly concerned about the border. So this is an issue that Democrats should cooperate on. And he even talked about Trump recently signaled support for the H-1B visa program for high-skilled workers. There's a debate within the conservative movement on that. He says Democrats should jump on board and support Trump with H-1B visas. All right. He talks about ending sanctuary cities. They should be on board with that in order to slow down crime, but offer these people a pathway to citizenship. I say no. But we can disagree. Finally, he says on crime, Democrats should look to compromise with the GOP in order to roll back these soft on crime policies and these woke DAs that implement these defund the police or that love these defund the police policies. So you endear yourself right to the voting public. Now, here's what's happening. I believe that Joe Biden is sabotaging trying to sabotage Donald Trump. Now, why is he trying to sabotage Donald Trump? I don't think it's just because of his legacy. I believe it's because they're looking for a new class of voter. I believe the voter that they're looking for is outlined in a column from the Wall Street Journal called what happens when a whole new generation never grows up. I want to talk to you about this column because it's very, very important. I want you to understand what the left has been able to do. Although President Trump had a resounding victory, don't let anyone tell you that it wasn't a mandate, because he won all of the 7 swing states. He won the popular vote. He won the electoral college. And by the way, when it comes to the popular vote, were it not for California and New York that, in my opinion, have a lot of illegals in their city and God knows, or their states doing God knows what, I think the popular vote margin would have been even more significant. Not to mention, it takes California a month to call their elections. I don't know. Just seems like something's a little fishy there. Given the fact that these people don't even know how to handle wildfires and effective ballot counting and get elections done by election day, something seems off-putting. So we're going to come back. I'm going to talk about this. I want to break this down because I want to talk about this new class of voter that they don't know that they have it good, and these are the voters that Democrats are going after. I'll explain it next. Stay tuned. Hey, Carl Jackson here for MyPillow, and MyPillow is excited to announce that they still have their Christmas extravaganza going. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, but they won't last long, so get them while you can. They're famous My Slippers. These haven't been on sale for over a year. They're regularly priced at $119.98, but for a limited time only, they're $59.98, and their 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities. They're only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone. From bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-858-0263 and be sure to use promo code Carl to save on all MyPillow products. That's promo code Carl. Flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. 6-piece towel sets for as low as $29.98. And that's not all. They're even extending their 60-day money-back guarantee all the way through March 1st of this year. Plus, all orders $75 or more ship absolutely free. MyPillow.com, promo code Carl. All right, welcome back to the program. So we were talking about how Democrats are trying to cooperate with Trump in order to co-opt Trump's agenda. And I believe this is what's going on. And I'm going to talk to you about the voters that I believe are involved in this. And again, just to refresh your memory, we talked about the Douglas Schoen column from The Hill. It's called "For Democrats, Strategic and Bipartisan Cooperation is Necessary." And basically what you want to do is you want to make sure that you restore the voters' faith in the Democrat Party. You want to work with Trump on issues that voters want. And I believe ultimately what he wants to do and what he's signaling is this is the only way that Democrats can take back the Congress and they can take back the White House. So essentially, it's cooperate with Trump in order to co-opt Trump. And we saw Trump come out this week. And for the first time in 4 years, it feels like we have a president, or we're going to have a president. January 20th cannot come soon enough. We played a clip earlier of Trump saying, listen, we're going to change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, trolling Mexico. But this is something that we're able to do. I believe if we're able to do it, we should do it. And because we want to convey American strength. And that's what Trump is looking to do. He's looking to restore the Monroe Doctrine with all of these things, foreign policy, to make sure that America is viewed as big, safe, and secure and strong, so that nobody will mess with us. We will protect our region. We will protect our interests. And that's what Trump is doing. And Democrats are paying attention to this. At least smart Democrats are. Here's something else that Trump did that I thought was bold, and that Democrats, I believe, thought were refreshing as well, especially if you happen to be a Jew, or sadly, if one of your children are one of the hostages in Israel, American hostages. Let's play cut number 15, please, Gabe.
Is exasperated. I don't want to talk for him, but look, I don't know anyone who delegates better than President Trump. He gives us a lot of authority to speak on his behalf, and he exhorts us to speak emphatically. And emphatically means you better get it. You better do this, because the alternative.
Do you think they're waiting for President Trump to take office?
No, I think they heard him loud and clear. Better get done by the inaugural.
But when you say all hell will
Before
be paid,
I take office.
that all hell must be paid if they don't release the hostages.
Do I have to define it for you?
Before I take office.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Can you elaborate?
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed. They're no longer hostages. I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back? That beautiful girl where they threw her in the car, pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? Sir, she's dead. Like a 19, 20-year-old beautiful girl. And the way they treated her. And I just say it this very simply. Steve's got a job to do. He's a great guy, great negotiator, great person. They respect him over there already. It's what we needed over there. We have people that know everything about the Middle East, but they can't speak properly. They don't know. He's a great negotiator. That's what I needed. I could have sent that gentleman right over there, Hussein. He's a great negotiator. There are people, they're rare. Great negotiators are very rare, like a great surgeon. But we have the right person. But I tell this, I don't want to hurt the negotiation. If the deal isn't done before I take office, which is now going to be 2 weeks, all hell will break out in the Middle East. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You've done a great job.
Thank you.
All right, let's leave it there. All right, and so here's what the world sees. They can take him at his word. Democrats see this too. They know how weak Joe Biden was. They saw the Afghanistan debacle. They saw the Middle East, fall apart. They saw his negotiations with Israel, where he was stymieing Israel, stagnating them, and literally, causing them to fight a long war that was totally unnecessary. Israel could have won that war against Hamas. And honestly, even Hezbollah, as we're learning now, within a matter of weeks or months. But because of the Biden administration and all of the cronies that are anti-Semitic, I believe, and Biden's administration and amongst his staff, Biden didn't do that. And Biden has always been horrible at foreign policy, and everyone that he has picked has been horrible as well. So from the Afghanistan withdrawal, the Russia-Ukraine war, where Putin decided to invade Ukraine under his watch, just like he did under Barack Obama's watch, Biden has been a disaster. Democrats know it, but they have to continue to prop this guy up. Doug Schoen is paying attention to this because he's one of these sensible Democrats, just like you see James Carville ranting on these young leftists with purple hair and all this kind of stuff within the Democrat Party that don't know squat about winning elections, and they're absolutely right. So Doug Schoen said cooperate with Trump in order to co-opt Trump. Essentially, those are my words. Those latter words are my words. Why do they need to co-opt Trump? Who are they trying to get? Let me say something that seems a little out of character, but these are the voters that I believe that the Trump administration is going after. And it's these voters that watch The Bachelor, shows like The Bachelor. They watch The Ultimatum, 90 Day Fiancé, Married at First Sight. What is it? There's another one, Blind something or another. But all of these shows, with the exception of Married at First Sight, on some occasion, I think that one started off good and then it got too commercial. It's not like I watch these shows all the time, but I do know of them. Unfortunately. But anyway, I think these are a disaster to the American culture, and I'll prove it, I believe. Here's a piece from the Wall Street Journal. What happens when a whole generation never grows up? All right, so in America, as American 30-somethings, here's a summary, increasingly bypass the traditional milestones of adulthood. Economists are warning that what seemed like a lag may in fact be a permanent state of arrested development. This writer writes, Americans in their 30s have never looked less like grown-ups. Amid steep declines in home ownership, marriage, and birth rates, I would argue that these 30-year-olds that aren't growing up vote Democrat. The problem with home ownership and marriage, you've got liberals out there, hey, live free as long as you want. home ownership. You can, you don't have to own anything and, be happy or what have you. And they're bringing illegal immigrants in to compete for housing against American citizens. Hey, they're pro-abortion, so our birth rates are declining. Well, economists have been warning that these young people are struggling to meet the milestones of adulthood. They're simply not growing up, and they're not taking on these challenges. They don't believe that the American dream exists for them anymore. A 38-year-old man said it feels like the instructions, he lives in New York, for how to live a good life don't apply anymore, and nobody has updated them. But the truth of the matter is this young man doesn't realize they don't need to be updated. I go on. There's a mix of social and economic factors that this generation, a younger generation, 30-somethings, feel are holding them back, an entire generation. And what researchers, again, once called a lag, they're now saying this seems to be a permanent state of arrested development where these people don't feel like they can grow up, don't feel like they can reach the American dream. One guy, Richard Reeves of the American Institute for Boys and Men, says we're moving from later to never when it talks about adults, these young men and women, 30-somethings growing up. Listen to this stat. 1/3 of modern young adults won't marry compared to less than 1/5 in previous decades. So you've got fewer people getting married. And there's this mantra out there, and you'll watch it on any one of these shows, The Bachelor, Ultimatum, 90 Day. I'm not ready to get married. I'm not ready. I'm just not there. My feelings aren't there, so on, etc. But they don't understand the reason why they don't grow is because they don't commit. See, the assumption is that you go with your feelings. And no, the Bible teaches us that the heart is deceitful. I forget which chapter in Genesis it is, but it has to do with Cain and Abel. And I believe Cain had already killed Abel at that time. And God tells Cain, do the right thing and your feelings will follow. Do the right thing, then your feelings will follow. Well, that's not the culture that we live in today. It's like, feel the right way. And then if you feel the right way, maybe you should do the thing. So essentially what you have are people that feel like the American dream is out of reach. They're not growing up because they're not taking on the proper responsibility, or they're saying the economy is too bad, so on, etc. When the fact of the matter is, wages for full-time workers today are up over previous generations. Between the overall wealth of 30-somethings to rose 66% between 1989 and 2022. Median wages for full-time workers ages 35 to 44 are up 16% between 2000 and 2024. Some of these people are making more money than their parents ever have, and they have better opportunities, but they're not convinced they have those opportunities. Younger adults under 50 believe that they are far less likely to achieve the American dream by hard work, but the truth is they've already achieved it. And at least part of what's stunting the growth of a generation, according to the Wall Street Journal, is that young people are have outsized dreams of what a good life looks like. These are the people that Democrats are going after. People that have the American dream in their reach, but they don't get it. Trump has got to make that clear. Thanks.